And joining us now is Democratic Congressman and co-chair of the Biden-Harris campaign, Jim Clyburn of South Carolina. Congressman, it's great to see you, and happy Juneteenth, especially on this holiday, this important holiday.
Thank you very, very much. Today I was originally scheduled to be in Birmingham for the celebration that's taking place there. And Willie Mays was scheduled to be at that event. And of course, on yesterday, he transitioned, and I wish his family and all his great fans happy Juneteenth.
Well, and his passing last night was just, especially with tomorrow night's game honoring the Negro Leagues in Birmingham, where he started out with the Negro Leagues as a 19-year-old right out of high school, is
absolutely
so poignant.
I think the games should be played on that field.
Exactly.
They want to play it often. I congratulate Major League Baseball for doing that. Thank you.
And I'm wondering about your thoughts on this day. I mean, Juneteenth is a celebration, but it's also a commemoration and an acknowledgement that there are so many enslaved Americans who weren't even told. And even after they were told in Galveston, Texas, because of the slow communications back then, a month later, there were people, according to the Washington Post today, who did not know for years, people in Texas, because plantation owners did not want to start paying their workers.
That's absolutely correct. I've said for a long, long time now that Juneteenth is a perfect example of what the failure to communicate is all about. Abraham Lincoln signed those two Emancipation Proclamations in 1862, and the one affecting all the other former slave states outside of Washington, D.C., was to take place effective January 1st, 1863. And that's when it took place. In fact, it was first publicly read here in South Carolina, not far where I'm currently sitting, in Beaufort County. It's where 4,000 formerly enslaved gathered to listen to the reading of the Emancipation Proclamation. It was 2.5 years later, June 19th, 1865, that those approximately 250,000 people in Galveston, Texas, got the word that they were free. And so that, to me, is a perfect example of what happens when you fail to communicate. And so that is one of the messages I try to give on Juneteenth. I just left Orangeburg, South Carolina, where a big crowd gathered South Carolina State, Ashland, Orangeburg, Calhoun Technical College, Denmark Technical College, and the local communities, all celebrating some renewal efforts to be putting forth in that community. And that was a way for me to say to them how important it is for us to open the lines of communication, maintain communications, listen to each other, respect each other, and remember what Alexis de Tocqueville said to us, even while the country was still tolerating slavery, that this country is great because its people are good. And if people of this country cease to be good, this country will cease to be great. And that is a message that I'm trying to take today. Let us not lose our goodnesses toward each other, because if we do that, this country's greatness will go down the drain.
And as my colleague and friend and fellow host, Al Sharpton, the president of the National Action Network, reflecting on Juneteenth, told The Hill, quote, he said, "It's not lost on any of us in the fight for social justice that this Juneteenth comes at a time when every right that we've won since the Civil War is under attack." What do you think of the job? Well, what do you think of the job that the president is doing in trying to restore these rights? Because the voting rights have come under attack again from the Supreme Court in redistricting, and affirmative action last year from the Supreme Court, and other civil rights that have been enjoyed for decades by, women, black and white women, women of all colors,
Sure.
certainly set back half a century in many states, with states' rights now being the answer.
Yes, this campaign this year is all about freedom. The freedom to vote, the freedom to make reproductive choices about one's own body, the freedom to pursue education, to pursue what is great about this country. So I've been saying to people, I think I said earlier this morning on this network, that this campaign this year is about freedoms versus favors. We've got a president who is doing what is necessary to unleash this country's greatness in a way that people will be free to pursue their dreams and aspirations. We've got the other side who seek to find favor with people. I'm going to be your retribution if you do not favor me. We have the results coming in from elections now, where it's all about vengeance. It's all about you do a favor for me, I'll do a favor for you. That's not Joe Biden. Joe Biden is about what this country fundamentally has attempted to pursue. And it is a pursuit. We're not a perfect nation, and we'll never be perfect. But we should always be in pursuit of that perfection. And so when I hear people say that we as a black people, as a family, were better off doing Jim Crow than we are today, and blaming it on the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, which no longer exists, but did exist at the time, and President Lyndon Johnson. How could you say that the president that signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the president gave us Medicare, Medicaid, the Higher Education Act, the Elementary, Secondary, and Education Act, that those are the things that broke up the family. So you're much better being together enslaved than to pursue your happiness or even your country's greatness with independence and freedoms. That, to me, defines what this campaign this year is all about. But so when people say they don't know what Joe Biden has done, I ask them to come with me and see what he has done.
And I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize for the satellite delay. But Donald Trump says that he is the best president for black Americans since Abraham Lincoln. And in a new poll from USA Today's Suffolk, has President Biden down with black voters in the battleground states of Michigan and Pennsylvania, significant drops from where he stood in 2020. You told Politico you don't understand these polls. We don't have to believe the polls. They've been wrong before. But there does seem to be a lack of enthusiasm and some anecdotal evidence. Donald Trump, who was, in Detroit just a few days ago in a black church, although mostly white people in the congregation that day, seems to be making a concerted effort to try to appeal to black voters.
Oh, sure, he's making a concerted effort, and that's fine. When I ask voters to compare the records, I was born and raised in a hospital, and my father used to preach often, preach from the, I think it's the 7th chapter of the book of Matthew, where we are informed that we should know them by their deeds, not their words. So I don't care what is said to you. Look at what they are doing. When you have a person running for president who became angry with Senator John McCain because he cast a deciding vote to allow us to increase health insurance for people in this country, about 20 million more people with health insurance than had it before. His anger was he wanted to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. So I ask anybody in this country, black or white, do you think you're better off without the Affordable Care Act? And that's what this man says he's delivered for African Americans. I asked them to show me one single substantive thing that he has done that would make Black Americans proud to be a part of his effort. Not what he has said, because if he can tell you that he's the greatest president for African Americans since Abraham Lincoln, that is a bigger lie than he's told by the January 6th, on January 6th, about the elections of 2020. So just listen to these people with all these platitudes and listen to his minions out here mouthing off this stuff. We have to be very careful, because this is all about miscommunication, disinformation, and that is what caused me great pause, because I know the power of the media. And the power of the media repeating these things rather than reporting what is actually happening, that is what's causing the problem. People feel depressed. And if you depress enough people, you can suppress their votes. And that's why I'm running around the country. I'm going to Georgia this weekend to spend 2 days down there reminding people of what this man did for the 4 years that he was in office, and ask him when he comes to you, if this is what you would do for me next year, why didn't you do it for me the 4 years that you had it at your control to do so?